it does.
Hello YouTubers, you're back here with Chevron, and I'm going to be doing another Yu-Gi-Oh! Budget deck profile, and this time I'm going to be doing Mekk-Knight Traptrix. Mekk-Knight Traptrix is a deck I've been fairly enjoying the most lately. I just completely like the playstyle of being able to control the board and then swing in for the OTK whenever you feel like you've made the break or you've limited your opponent's resources so that they cannot interrupt your OTK. So with that, I am going to give a quick warning that this deck is more of a semi-budget to the past two budget deck profiles done, which have been Shadows and Crusader OTK, mainly because certain cards in Traptrix are naturally higher in price, so it does make it harder to build Traptrix on a budget. So I'm going to be keeping it as budget as possible for this one, but I'm going to be leaving certain key cards you can upgrade onto if you feel like taking this deck to the next level. Definitely very competitive for your local scene. If you plan to take this deck to regional level, you're probably going to need those small upgrades to make it a lot more consistent and make it your life a lot more easier when it comes to playing through certain decks. So with that, let's get straight to the deck profile. So starting with the monsters, very standard Traptrix lineup. You got your three Murmillo, which is your searcher for trap hole cards. There's a lot of trap hole cards in the game, but I only play one of them because I feel like the one I'm playing is the best. Three Traptrix Mantis. Mantis is very strong for this deck, being able to use quick speed Traptrix effects on your opponent's turn because it allows you to bounce the set spell trap you have to be able to set another one from your hand, which is very good for proccing Sarah on demand if you want to quickly get another trap hole set from your deck before your opponent passes their turn. Also, three Dynea, which is pretty much your OTK play. When it comes back to your turn, you normal summon Traptrix Dynea, special summon another Traptrix from grave, make Utopia double for the OTK. Don't shotgun it too early. You want to make sure you can make the play and make sure it's successful. It is your main win con of the deck, but you do have backup win cons if it does fall to that. I play one Traptrix Atrax and one Traptrix Neptibus. I do play these extras because I feel like I want to, like 100% want to open at least one Traptrix in hand. If you don't open any, it's really bad because you don't have a way to get into Sarah, and then like your traps just become just one-off things. You're not proccing anything, you're not getting any plus, and it really makes it easier for your opponents to beat over your field because your backup play after that, if your opponent successfully doesn't OTK you and they pass the turn, your backup plays after that just not so great as it was if you had a Sarah on the field. So I play the extra two so I can almost guarantee that I'm always going to open one. There are, like, it doesn't happen all the time, but there are small times where I don't open a Traptrix and it is just hell and I hate it. So that's for the Traptrix lineup for the monsters. With the Mekk-Knights, I just play two purple, one blue sky, and one indigo. So this is a very strong lineup for Traptrix in my opinion because Mekk-Knights really help Traptrix weakness of going second. If you see a Mekk-Knight and your opponent has said to go first, if you see the Mekk-Knight, it can really help you play through it. Doesn't always guarantee that you're going to be able to play through it successfully, but it's there for an option, and they're not the worst when you open them going first. If you open two, you're kind of set because you can open the World Legacy Secrets combo. Preferably opening purple is the best because then you can search out your indigo, and then you summon the indigo off, and then you gotta open two because one has to be discard for the link monster to add the World Legacy Secrets to hand. So yeah, I've not completely hated them. I've usually like seeing them, but there are games where you just want to side them out because they're not really good in your matchup. But for the most of it, they've been very helpful for me. Next up, I actually run a very heavy line of hand traps, starting off with Nibiru. You don't have to run Nibiru, it could be more traps or just other hand traps. So I do play a heavy lineup of hand traps because I feel like you don't need to be playing like the 18 normal traps in your deck. Usually you can combo off your full turn just by seeing one trap, or remember you are playing Traptrix Murmillo. Sorry, tongue twisting here. Because she pretty much acts as extra traps in your deck because on normal summons she'll add you one. So continue with the hand traps. I play 3 DD Crow and then the standard 3 Ash. So Ash, because it generically hits most decks when they try to add a special summon from deck. Crow because it's just a meta call for me. being able to pinch off cards in grave can really set certain decks back. And because in my locals it's very combo heavy, so I play the Nibiru. You can pretty much sub this out for other standard traps that you can feel like it will be effective in your local area, or just other hand traps if you feel like you want to be playing the high hand traps like I do. But yeah, please give this a try. I know a lot of you guys will be judging this immediately, but I have been playing a Traptrix for a fair while right now, and I'm just loving every time I see hand traps. And it does help going second, which is very bad for Traptrix if you don't win the dice roll. But this kind of with the Mekk-Knights just pretty much covers that. So that is pretty much entirely my reasoning of running hand traps. You don't really need to be heavy on normal traps all the time. Hand traps can be very good. And continuing with that, I play 3 spells, which is 2 desires and 1 double of nothing. The brick. Please don't open this, because you'll know the feeling when you open double nothing. But it's not always the worst. You can use a discard fodder for like link reasonings, or you can always hit over for 5k, but you want this for the OTK. You need it in the deck. If you open it, it's just bad luck. You're not always, but it doesn't always happen, but there are times where you do. For the trap lineup, I played 3 Thermalites of the Shade Brigandine. This card is pretty much insane. It makes your open for Traptrix hella crazy, because you can open up Redoor for trap underneath it, being able to bounce back a card. And Redoor just nicks cards off your opponent. Sometimes you get a spell, so you get a draw and a bounce back. It just keeps going. The benefits this card has with Traptrix, it's always good. And you can activate it on your first turn if you have no traps in your grave, which is going to happen because you're not going to have any traps on your first turn in grave. Also played 3 Traptrix, not Traptrix, Floodgate Trap Hole. This is pretty much the best. Being able to flip a monster face down really stuffs your opponent's plays, especially with the whole a lot of times your opponent's running links, or pretty much most of the time your opponent needs links, and being able to, like, making one of their main monsters go face down before they can even link someone can pretty much set their whole turn back. And then if it goes back to yours, you can Pentastag with Utopia double for game. So very easy lineup. I say Pentastag because it sets it face down defense, and Pentastag makes a monster, it points to do piercing damage. So piercing on Utopia double with 10,000 attack can pretty much always mean game. And if it doesn't mean game, if they have no other monsters, Pentastag does have a pretty beefy attack that could probably finish off the game that way. 3 compulsory evacuation device, very insane card. You can interrupt plays like crazy with this, just bouncing monsters back to their hand, bouncing link monsters back to the extra deck, or whatever play they try to make can really stuff your opponent's turn. And 2 Traptrix, because it generically just searches any other traps I just revealed. Being able to banish one to directly set one for the deck, and you can activate it the turn you set it as well, can really fix problems for this deck. And I play 1 Imperial Order because you're not running many spells, so Imperial Order is pretty much just why not run it. You can shut off a lot of decks off Imperial Order alone, because there are a lot of decks out there that are spell heavy based. And then I play 1 World Legacy Secrets for the Mekk-Knight lineup. So that's it for the main deck. It is 40 cards, and let's quickly go over to the extra deck. So for the extra deck, you play 3 Traptrix Sarah because you want to be seeing it, and if it goes, you make another one. Pretty much you go to play every turn. Like I said, I play a higher Traptrix lineup in the main deck because I want to see it every game. So yeah, next up we have Pentastag, which makes your Utopia double OTK work against defense position monsters. Pretty much all he's in there for. 1 Nightmare Phoenix, I've seen this a lot of times, so I don't want to cut it yet. You're always going to have it co-linked if you need it, because you have the Sarah pointing down and pointing up. You get the draw and the pop, so you're not negging to use it. And as I said, if you open that double or nothing, you can pitch it to the Phoenix to get a better draw. 1 Mekk-Knight of the Morning Star. This is what allows you to search the World Legacy Secrets, which is a reborn for your Mekk-Knight monsters. And then I should have explained what it did though, but monsters in the same column as World Legacy Secrets, as a Mekk-Knight monster, while this is face up on the field, has their effects negated. So this in the extra monster zone, if they can't use up the zone in front of it if they're trying to using a monster, and on activation, special summons, most preferably Indigo from the grave, then you can negate more effects of whoever's in the same zone as Indigo has, and Indigo has the ability to bounce himself into other locations at quick speed, which allows you to negate more more monster effects that way. So yeah, very good in the deck and really helps with the Mekk-Knights when going first. And then I play a Mekk-Knight Spectrum Supreme. It is a very good boss monster and can win you games in time if you know you're close to time. Can attack directly if there's no other cards in this column, and if it doesn't point to any monsters, it cannot be destroyed by card effects, and your opponent cannot target it with card effects, so which is pretty crazy. I've closed a lot of games going into this guy. If you're playing Mekk-Knights, you may as well give him a go, because there are situations he pops up, and like I said, if the game goes into time, you can, if you know you're close to time, you can go onto him to get the free 3k in, to be able to help you push through that way. My backup OTK, Borrow Sword. Pretty much if Utopia double fails, you go into this guy. But yeah, it does come up fair often. Usually your Utopia double, if you like don't rush into it, will be the one that succeeds. But there are times something has occurred that you weren't prepared for, and Borrow Sword's there for backup for falling turns. So 1 time to your free door, you only need 1 because you would only make it on your first turn if you see the Brigadier. So he has 3 effects. Well, he has multiple effects. During the standby phase, you can pinch a card off the top of your opponent's deck and then equip it underneath him. When a monster's under, so you can use all 3 if you have like different materials attached to him. If a monster's underneath him, he can detach to banish himself until the end of the turn. Spell will give him a draw card. Trap will make you bounce a face-up card on your opponent's side of the field back to the top of the deck, which is really big. And like you can use all 3 if he has all 3 different materials, or you can just use 2 if you just need the 2. Abyss Dweller, because he's pretty much the best rank 4 in the game, being able to lock so many decks out of the game. You always got to play this if you're playing a rank 4 spam deck. Also on Executor Knight, this card has pretty much shot off a lot of opponents for me. It has come a fair bit, especially against True Dracos or pretty much any deck that relies off card advantage and like sets up big boards. If they start to choke point, you can force into this guy, and then if your opponent has more cards on the field and in hand in total than you do, quick effect detach and then destroy all other cards on the field. So literally, just off that, you can turn games around and put it into your favor, which is really big. I do really consider playing him if you don't, because there's just so many times where that card alone can just make you win games. Tornado Dragon, just a rank 4 I can make when I'm versing a back row deck, help me control the game, and the Utopia package. So Utopia double is the main win con you go for. If it fails, Lightning's there to slap over to make it harder for your opponent to deal with, because if this card battles, your opponent can't use card effects during the battle, so it makes it really hard for your opponent to deal with it sometimes. And on top of that, you can detach 2 to pump him to 5k, which will make it really hard for him to jump as well, to be jumped. And then if you have to force go into him your turn, he has the ability to attack into monsters, and during that battle duration, your opponent cannot use effects at all. So say if you attack into a Shadow and send it to grave, they won't be able to get its grave effect to add back. It negates that whole, it stops everything from that monster being sent to grave and their grave effects, which is really big. So don't sleep on the Lightning. He used to be a very big card back in the old metas, and I still think he's big now. I think people are just sleeping on him. He's a very good card to run, and he's very powerful to deal with. For the side is very meta, like reliant on your locals. It can change depending on like what your locals like. But I play 1 Dino Wrestler Prank Tops. It's just pretty much a very powerful card going second. If you see it, it can get you a lot of advantage. It's usually a 1-for-2 trade at all times. Being able to beat over something and tribute himself to pop another card is crazy. I'm gonna a lot of hate for this, so Traptrix players, I know you hate this card a lot, but the way I see it, this card can make you just outright win games, so why not play it? A lot of other decks have OP stuff as it is, so why can't we have some OP stuff? Mystic Mine, if you know you're going to go second, especially against those combo decks, side these in, and then if you resolve this, your opponent's stuffed, and if they've, say like, they've dug through their deck a lot of times, so they're long cards, you literally can just sit on this, and if your opponent has no main board out to this card, they just lose, because they need like cosmic. They just need back row removal that's not a monster effect to be able to get out of this. And like I said, if they don't have anything, they just lose because they're going to deck out first. Or what you can do is after you drop this, you and your opponent has multiple monsters, and you've turned off like all their monster effects, you just go into Utopia double and swing for the OTK, knowing that your opponent won't be able to like respond to anything that you do. So very cheap OTK you can make with Mystic Mine. Like I said, a lot of decks have OP stuff, so might as well use OP stuff yourself when you can. 2 Heavy Storm Dusters, searchable off Traptrix, and it's mainly for those back row decks. When you do see them, you want to not run into too many back row because you want to be the one who gains the card advantage. 3 Judgments. This is very good, especially if you know you're going to go first. Like say you're after side and you want to be calling to go first. Expect to see evenly matches or lightning storms or big back row removal, twin twisters. This card will help save lives. So yeah, play Judgment in the side. If you don't main it, I would prefer to side this card mainly because I don't always know if I'm going to be going first or second in the main board, and after that my main board's enough to deal with a lot of threats that are out there. But after side, you pretty much can guarantee that your opponent's going to have twins or evenly or lightning storm, and Judgment will help you that way. 3 DDGs, different dimension ground. After you activate it, any monster sent to the graveyard this turn is banished instead. This rips the hell out of combo decks. There's a lot of decks can fold to this card as of right now. After the Master Rule hits, this card just becomes even bigger. You have Traptrix, so it's searchable if you don't open it. You pretty much run 5 copies of it off the side, and then pretty much you can control the board with other back row or hand traps and make sure your opponent can't push through for the win with so much limited resources they have, not being able to utilize their graveyard. And if your opponent say runs Call by Grave, you're playing like Ash, when you Ash something, they cannot Call by Grave it to negate it because it's already banished off this. So like very good combo piece with the Ash you can do with different dimension ground. And then speaking of evenly matched, I also do side it. You don't have to if you don't own it. Like I said, this is semi-budget, but you can be budgeted even more by playing something other than evenly matched. Same with Nibiru, you don't have to play it. It can be anything else if you're just playing at locals, but it is a very powerful card. It really does help going second. It can push through for games, and then you set up board after playing it and just choke your opponent out in resources and just control the board until you can make the OTK yourself. So yeah, that is for the deck, and I want to do 2 different displays on how to open this board. This is mainly for the newer players who don't know how to open with this deck. I know a lot of Traptrix players out there will already know the standard combo, but I would like to go through it for the newer players. So this is pretty much the only 2 cards you need to be able to open the Sarah with the Time Thief free door. Can be any other Traptrix, preferably Murmillo or the Mantis, mainly because they're +1s when you summon them. Dioneer needs the Traptrix engraved, so Dioneer is better for like going second play. But say if you don't open Murmillo and you open say Mantis, when you do normal summon Mantis, don't search this because this card is mainly better for going first, getting that trap advantage, but after your first turn, you're trying to push the game over and making rank 4 players, so you want to search Dioneer if it's not already in your hand, so that when it comes back to your turn, you can special summon Mantis back from the grave and make rank 4 plays and try to swing the game more into your favor. But for this one, I'm going to be showing what you can do when you open Murmillo, and I'm gonna need 2 Traptrix trap hole for this, and Mantis actually helps you when during this combo as well. So to start off, you normal summon Murmillo, and you use its effect to add Traptrix trap hole to Floodgate trap hole to your hand. If you do play other trap hole cards, that is fine. Like I said, I just think Floodgate trap hole is the better one to play. That is why I play that one. So you're gonna link into Sarah. Sarah just needs 1 Traptrix monster to link into her, and then you're gonna set the Brigandine. Brigandine can be activated if you have no traps in graves, so you activate it and turns into a level 4 monster. And because you activate a trap, you trigger Sarah's effect, and Sarah will special summon a Traptrix from your deck. So you want to special summon Mantis here. So what you can do here to get more plus is set your Floodgate trap hole that you just added, use Mantis to return it to your hand, to reset it, and then Sarah's effect, second effect will apply because you use a Traptrix effect this turn. You get to add directly set a trap hole from your deck, so you'll set a second copy of Floodgate Trap Hole or any other trap hole you decide to play. And then with this one, you just overlay these two into Time Thief Redoor. This is just with 2 cards in your starting hand. You already have 2 back row interruption, and then the interruption off the Time Thief Redoor, which is already a very tough board to break for some decks. So it can really change depending on how you open. If you open hand traps, that's even more negation, or if you open other back row like a Compulse or a Trap Trick, it really makes your board even stronger. But this is pretty much the pinnacle of the strongest board you can open with Traptrix. It can go pretty insane. Even like if your other 2 cards you open were let's say 2 Mekk-Knight cards, you end up turning Sarah into a Mekk-Knight monster. So say I had 2 other cards and I haven't opened this yet, so our board looks a bit like this. So we haven't gone into Time Thief Redoor yet, so we'll get the Legacy Secrets out and any 2, so I'll go with them 2. And I'll quickly get the Link Monster out so I can probably play through this. So here you want to special summon Purple Nightfall, banish himself to add a Mekk-Knight monster from your deck to hand. Here you'll add the Indigo, so you'll special summon Indigo to the zone Sarah points to, and then here you'll just link away into your link 2. And then when he's summoned, you can use his effect to discard a Mekk-Knight monster to the grave to add a World Legacy or card from your deck to hand, and which will be World Legacy Secrets. And then you just set it, and then you just overlay the Time Thief Redoor here. And now on top of everything, you have 2 back row interruptions already there with the Time Thief Redoor. And then when your opponent goes to use a monster effect, you can activate World Legacy Secret, special summoning Indigo to the same zone of that monster they're trying to use the effect, and then World Legacy Secret will apply, which will negate monster effects that are in the same zone as a Mekk-Knight monster. And then Indigo has the effect to move himself at quick speed, so you can negate another monster effect, which will be really big. So yeah, very strong boards this deck can make. This was pretty much the second board I wanted to show you on top of that, so I pretty much just did a 2-in-1. If you go second, it really does determine what you open of what you can do, how many hand traps you open, if you open a Mekk-Knight monster they'll push through the board. Preferably like to see at least 1 Traptrix monster so you can still do the standard Sarah play. But yeah, I'm not going to be going into too much detail of everything. A lot of just practicing on your own will really get yourself into the game of how Traptrix plays. There's a lot of combos they can do. I will be doing a lot of like test games online, and I'll probably upload a video of just smashing out some battles for like 5 minutes with Traptrix. So once I get that up, I'll tag it into the comments below too, so that you can see how I play the deck and just different situations where you can do like build your field differently. Even if you just open a Traptrix monster and you don't open the Brigandine, just going into Sarah with a good back row set and hand traps can really lock your opponent out of the game as well. But it really depends on what they open as well, on top of what you have. So I hope you enjoyed this video and that you found it helpful. Quick mentions on what cards you can get to upgrade this deck. If you feel like you want to go to a higher level as like regionals or YCS, and if you just feel like you want to bring Traptrix along for the ride, Imperm is a very big card for this deck that you can get. Solely because it works as a hand trap if you're forced to go second, and it also can help you on your turn, being able to set more negation and trigger Traptrix Sarah off that way. And it is a target off Trap Trick if you need a negation play that way. So yeah, very versatile card in Traptrix, but like I said, I wanted to try and keep it as budget as possible. We all know that Imperm is not nowhere near the closest thing to budget. The reprint is a lot cheaper, that's coming in Dual Overload, but it still does push the budget of this deck a lot higher if you do wish to get that card. because I run a hand trap heavy deck, you could get like 2 copies of Phantasme, but Phantasme probably won't find its place in this deck once the new master rule comes along, because a lot of decks won't be as reliant on link monsters. It will be more of a side tech more than anything once the new master rule kicks in. So yeah, Imperm, definitely a big card to get if you do wish to take this deck to a much higher level. And a lot of adjustments, like the hand traps I've picked were mainly aimed at my locals. If you feel like you're not going to be running in too many combo heavy decks, or the meta has shifted a bit, you can easily switch Nibiru's out for Imperms, and then maybe make room for Nibiru on the side, because Nibiru is still a very powerful card, and if you drop it on your opponent, a lot of times you can just say you win the game. But yeah, with that, I want to stop this here. Again, I hope this video was helpful for you guys, especially for the people who are just getting into Traptrix. So with that, if you wish to support me, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. And you guys will definitely be seeing me next time. See you guys. Does